All right, guys, so as promised, part two. Like this is literally me on my phone, and then I'm just gonna be like drawing this box and whisker plot on my notebook. So I've got my computer here. This is kind of where I left off with the first part of the video. So we're gonna do this box and whisker plot together, but it's just gonna be too hard for me to try and draw this on my computer with a mouse, and it's just gonna be a nightmare. So instead, what I'm gonna do is try to like hold this with my left hand and write it with my right hand what it is we need to do. Okay, so I'm sure this won't be the greatest video quality. I apologize. Doing the best we can. Okay, so if we scroll back up here without making you guys sick, it says make a box and whisker plot for the ages and years of the spider monkeys at the zoo. I have here like what order you guys should be doing this in. Like this is the steps to make a box and whisker plot. Okay, step one, very important. Put that data in order from least to greatest, just like you would find the median, because look what step two is. Find the median. Okay. It's kind of hard to put data in order when you don't have that like written out in front of you and you can't just like cross stuff out. Like when I just did it myself to make sure I had the right answer, I had to double check and make sure that I had everything written out. So I would suggest you count out and see how many pieces of data you have. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 pieces of data. So when I go to put these in order, I want to make sure that I also still have 12 pieces once I'm done. I didn't. When I did it myself, I had 11. So then I went back and figured out which one did I miss. So I'll just show you guys. You could maybe pause the video if you want to try and get that in order yourself first and then come back. Otherwise, we can just kind of do it together here. So in order, that would be 14. Ooh, this is really weird to like write and watch myself in the video. 15, 20, 26, 27, 30, another 30, 33, 35, 36, and I had missed the 38 at first, but then I went back and found it, okay? So now I've got all my numbers in order. So remember to find median, you're trying to find the middle. Well, if I have 12 pieces of data we just figured out, that means that I don't have a true middle, right? I only have a true middle if I have an odd number of pieces of data. So that means I'm gonna have 2 in the middle, and then I'm gonna have to figure out the middle of those 2. So I don't really want to cross out because I kind of need to see all these numbers still. But if I have 12 pieces of data, that means I know I'm going to have 2 in the middle and then 5 to the left and 5 to the right. You could still like kind of like lightly cross them off if that helps you to do that, you know, like back and forth like this. But it turns out that the 2 in the middle are these 2, okay? Those 2 30s, which means that's going to be easy to figure out my middle then, because the middle of 30 and 30 would be 30, okay? You could do the 30 plus 30 divided by 2 is still 30. So that means my median is 30, and it's like this extra 30, right? If you don't have an odd number of pieces of data, that means you're like creating this new median, all right? So I have a median of 30, which means everything to the left of that line I just drew, that's my first half of my data. Everything to the right of that line I just drew is the second half of my data. So there's 6 numbers here to the left and 6 numbers here to the right. Now, next step is find the first and third quartiles, which if you remember, the first and third quartiles are basically just the median of my first half of my data and the median of my second half of my data. Yes, I just said data weird. All right, so the first half of my data would be here. So now I'm trying to find the median of that half of data. Now I'm wishing I had different colored pens, but I didn't, oh well. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of data, so even again, okay? So that means I'm gonna have 2 in the middle, and I'm gonna have to calculate the median of those 2. So if I kind of imaginary cross off 14, 30, 15, 27, that means 20 and 26 are my ones that are in the middle, okay? So for those 2, then I have to figure out what's the median, what number is in between those 2. Some of you guys are good at just like being able to look at those 2 numbers and understand, like visualize a number line and go, oh, I know what number's in between those 2. Great, if you can do that, perfect. You don't need to do this step. But if you're like, I have no idea, Mrs. Gillespie, what number's in between those 2, then do 20 plus 26, okay? That's 46. Then divide that by 2, because you got 2 numbers. And that gives you 23, okay? That's the number in between 20 and 26. Hopefully that now makes sense to you now that you see it, because 23 is 3 units away from 20 and 3 units away from 26. So that means my first quartile is 23. I'm going to kind of circle these pieces of information as we get them, because these are all these things we need to know to make our box and whisker plot. Now I'm going to do the same process, but over here on the second half of my data. So again, I got 6 numbers. So imaginary crossing off here means, whoops, I only have 5 numbers over here. What did I miss? Oh no. Oh, there should be 3 30s in here when I wrote out these 30s. Maybe you guys caught that before I did. Good job if you did. There we go. Still makes my median 30, right? So that's kind of why I missed it, because there's a whole clump of 30s in there. So I have 2 30s on my right side of my data here, and then 33, 35, 36, 38. So then when I cross off imaginary, we end up with 33 and 35 as like my 2 middles. And then, again, maybe you can visualize on a number line what would be in between 33 and 35, but if you can't, that's okay. Then you just do the mean of those 2 numbers. You just add them together. 33 plus 35 is 68. Divide that by 2, because that's 2 numbers, and you get 34. Okay, so your third quartile would be 34. And hopefully that makes sense once you look at the numbers. Oh yeah, okay, 34 is 1 away from 33 and 1 away from 35. All right, we've got 1, 2, 3 pieces of data. Remember, you need 5 to make a box and whisker plot. The other 2 pieces of data that you need are your least value and your greatest value, and that's what we talk about in number 4. So we say draw a number line that goes from your least value to your greatest value. Okay, well that's easy once my numbers are in order. My least value is right here at 14. I kind of drew my circle over my 1 there. My greatest value is 38. Okay, so now I got everything I need. So now we're going to draw a number line. Well, my number line needs to go from 14 to 38, which is like kind of far apart. So I'm going to count by 2s just because I don't want to have like the world's longest number line here. If I do that, I should be able to kind of fit it on my page here. That was not the straightest of lines, but that's okay. So I'm going to have 14, and then I'm going to count by 2s. So 16, 20, whoops, not 20, haha, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. Yay. So put a closed dot, remember that means like filled in, above the least value, the greatest value, the median, the first quartile, and the third quartile. Everything we just found, everything that I circled here. Okay, so I need a closed dot above 14. I need a closed dot above 23. Well, 23 would be halfway in between 22 and 24, right? So about there. Median should be at 30. And remember, above the number line, not on the number line. Okay, I know that's different from when we graphed like inequalities and stuff. Third quartile is at 34. And greatest value is at 38. Maybe you can hopefully start to visualize your box and whisker plot come into fruition here, okay? Your median is that middle number, so you can draw a line there where that 30 is, and then you're going to create a box out of the 2 dots to the left and right of it, okay? So that means that there's going to be the end of my box there, and there, and then these are going to be my whiskers, okay? So from my third quartile to my greatest value, and from my first quartile to my least value. We did it. We made a box and whisker plot. What do we think shape-wise about this box and whisker plot? Is this skewed left, skewed right, or symmetric? Hopefully you're thinking skewed left, okay? Because that left whisker is longer than that right whisker, which means most of my data is actually over here, okay? That means 1/4 of my data was between 14 to 23. 1/4 of my data was from 23 to 30. Another 1/4 of my data was 30 to 34. And then 1/4 of my data was from 34 to 38. Okay. All right, let's look at the next example. I said this is the one that's like at the bottom of page 460. It's on your own. It doesn't like have a worked out example. It's just basically like it says, on your own, you try it yourself. So a group of friends spent 1, 0, 2, 3, 4, 3, 6, 1, 0, 1, 2, and 2. A lot of times kids leave this one off because they put the word and in there instead of just another comma in the number. Okay, so that is also part of your data. hours online last night, make a box and whisker plot for this data. So how many pieces of data do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, it's 12 again, same number of data. So step 1, remember, is get that data in order. This time, hopefully I won't forget anything. Haha, we'll see. So again, this is easier if it's already written out for you. I mean, it might be helpful for you to just write it out in the order it's in there and then get it in order if it's kind of hard to look at it and transfer it. Or again, you could just watch me do it for this one. So we're going to have, there are 2 zeros in that data. There are 3 1s. There are 3 2s. 2 3s. A 4 and a 6. Someone's spending way too much time online. So now step 2 is find the median. So we know we have 12 pieces of data, so there's not gonna be a true middle. So again, we're gonna have to like create the median. So if you kind of imaginary check off till you get to the middle, you should, or you can like lightly do it with your pencil. You should get that. These 2 are in the middle. I've got 5 numbers to the left and 5 numbers to the right. So that means this is kind of like that last example. 2 and 2, the middle of that would just be 2, okay? But 2 plus 2 is 4, divided by 2 is 2, so the math works out, all right? So my median is 2. So then that means everything to the left of this line is my first half of my data. Everything to the right of this line is the second half of my data. So now remember, we're trying to find our first quartile and our third quartile. First quartile is just gonna be the median of this data. Third quartile is just going to be the median of this data. So over here, what's in the middle is these 2 1s, which means that that first quartile would just be 1. Over here, cross off the 2, cross off the 6, cross off the 2, cross off the 4, means those 2 3s are in the middle. So that means my third quartile is 3. And then the only other 2 pieces of data I need to make my box and whisker plot are my least value and my greatest value. Now I'm ready to draw a number line. I just know it needs to go from 0 to 6, so here I can definitely count by 1s. Those are nice and close together. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need a dot over these 5 pieces of data. Okay, so I need a closed dot over 0. I need a closed dot over my first quartile, which is at 1, over my median, which is at 2, over my third quartile, which is at 3, and over my greatest value, which is at 6. My middle, my median is right here at 2, so that gets the line. And then I know I create my box with the numbers just to the left and just to the right of that median. And then my whiskers would be from 0 to 1 and from 3 to 6. What do we think about the shape of this data? Is this skewed left, skewed right, or symmetric? Hopefully you said skewed right, because that whisker is longer on the right. Most of my data is on the left, which hopefully you guys can see just by looking at this, right? Most of it was 0, 1, 2, 3, and then there were these like outliers that were 4 and 6, okay? Debating, like to give you another example. Do we do one more off the cuff? Like, why not? What do you think? One more? Sure, Mrs. Gillespie, we love math. All right, let's do it. I didn't do this one ahead of time, so this will be really exciting to see if I mess it up or not. So it says make a box and whisker plot for the data of number of siblings people have. This is not anywhere in your book, so you may want to pause the video for a minute so you could like write this data down. Step 1 would be get that in order. So let's see. I have 1, 2 zeros. So 2 zeros I'm going to write on my sheet. I'll just show you when I'm done here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1s. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 2s. I've got 1, 2 3s. Any 4s, any 4s? 1, 2 4s. If you guys see, this is how I do it, right? I just go numerical to try and make sure I don't miss anything. A 5, And that's it. I think I'm done. So what I would do now is I would count up how many numbers I got here and then count up how many numbers I got on my computer and see if that matches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Is that right? Oh, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right. I'm doing good so far. 16, even. Okay, so we got to find the median. It's not going to necessarily just be a number here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, this is hard to do without crossing off. I'm gonna kind of cross out above. That might help you guys see here, especially when all these numbers repeat. It can be hard to make sure that you actually had the two that were in the middle. So this is like me pretending to cross these numbers off, but doing it above it instead of on them, because I find it confusing to like look at the numbers when they're already crossed off. So these two twos, the first like twos that repeat, are the two in the middle. So that means my middle is right in between those two. So my median is 2. Now I can find my first quartile and third quartile. If you want to keep imaginary crossing off, I would just like do my mark the other way, make like an X out of it. Oops, except you got to do this one first because you like need that one. So this one, now that one's crossed off. This one, this one. So these two ones are the ones that are in the middle. So that means my first quartile is 1. Circle that. Over here, if we cross off, can you guys hear that dog barking in the background? I wonder how much you can hear. Those two 3s are in the middle. So my third quartile is 3. I have the windows open in my house. It's possibly heard my children yelling in the backyard before too. Exciting. All right, so got most of that. We just need least value and greatest value. And then we can make our number line. Only goes from 0 to 5, so definitely just going to count by 1s here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need closed dots over 0, 1, 2, 3, and 5. Median is 2. So line there and then create a box out of the ones. Oops, kind of swung and missed on that dot there. Let's make it fatter. There we go. And then whisker, whisker. And that's our box and whisker plot. Slightly skewed right, but not by much, right? That whisker is just a little bit longer than that one there. All right, I hope you guys get it. I know that's an intense lesson. Do your best with the practice problems over the next day and definitely shoot me emails or contact me via Google Classroom if you have questions, okay?